Good afternoon. How are you? Chris, EHS Physical Therapy Chiropractic Services. It is Monday evening, 5 something. Oh gosh, quarter to 6.
Almost 6 now.
I hope everybody had a great day. It was a very good Monday for us. Some successes, some struggles. We had some good patients that we saw today, and then we had some that were a little bit tricky. We had to really, dive in and ask some more questions, move around. The education process that goes into trying to develop we would say maybe a rapport or a relationship with that person, so that they really understand what it is we're trying to accomplish and get at, can be a little tricky sometimes. Mm-hmm. Why don't you talk about the gentleman that we had earlier today with some a little bit odd symptoms, and I think this will be something that will probably resonate with some of you that have been told things in the past that'll say, I'm sorry, just move some stuff out of the way. Get some little tabs that come up that have been told you've had all kinds of different, you have piriformis syndrome, you have sciatica, you have, it could be all kinds of stuff. There's some kind of
like lower body, like something
call it
like
anything
in your leg or hurts.
It's garbage is what it is.
So this guy came in. He had pain in his, I think it was his left hamstring.
Primary
area.
complaint.
Yep.
Left hamstring.
Left hamstring, but he also had some pain in the front of his right shin here, that he was attributing to just like walking weird because his hamstring hurt.
Yeah. But initially thinking that, so he got some therapy for his hamstring strain. Now I'm telling you, if you think you've strained your hamstring, first of all, you have to have had done something to actually strain, which means like a pulling or tearing of a muscle or tendon tissue. Okay, that's a strain. All right. And if you didn't do anything, running, sprinting, jumping, landing a fall, and you all of a sudden get pain from the low back, right, down into your hamstring, it's not a hamstring strain. It's just not.
Yeah.
You can't strain. So he was getting treatment right from.
Yeah. So
what were they doing?
So he was seeing another therapist, and they were doing like up against the wall, like hamstring stretches, kind of like this, like just bent over. Yeah. Like walls, like up against a wall, just like squatting a little bit. And
that's kind of how he said he hurt his right leg. But let me guess, Brooke. Did it get better by stretching the hamstring?
It did not.
Oh, because it's not a hamstring strain, so it's not going to get better.
No. So it did not get any bit better with his hamstring stretching, because, and also like his leg here was not getting better with just like resting it and doing a little bit of stretching, because it also wasn't just coming from this muscle.
I mean, he thought that he had hurt his kind of that anterior lateral or front side, part of the calf. Really the muscles that kind of pick your toes up.
Yeah, kind of like the shin splints like area.
But it didn't matter. Like if that was a muscle, it would hurt him to pull his toes back and and hold. He didn't have any weakness or pain with that. It was more with like kicking his legs. Like he'd kick his right leg straight. You can't see that. He'd kick his right leg straight, and that would hurt, even though it's a nerve tension. He even had so much as in driving, he had this sharp pain go into his toes, between his probably like second toe, somewhere in there.
Yeah. Yep. After he'd been sitting for a while.
Thought that was something else as well. So.
Yeah. So we were thinking it was coming from his, instead of his like hamstring and his other muscle that somehow like simultaneously
coincidentally
were hurting at the same time.
So he has 4 different injuries now. I have a hamstring strain, I have sciatica, I have a right, let's say, shin muscle, toe lifter upper thing strain, and what else? And my SI joint. So instead of having 4 random things, it makes more sense to us that it's probably one thing that is kind of all related to the lumbar spine, because the pain it's not always there. Remember this, it's intermittent.
Right, yes.
He can go for months where it's off and then come back on again. Yeah.
Yeah. So we were thinking it was coming from his like low back area. There was like a nerve issue, like a nerve root issue, because that like if you have like compression on that can cause any one of those or all 4 of those at the same time issues.
I mean, and that's what ended up changing it for him was we tested a lot of different movements, and that's part of the process. So he was getting a little frustrated because we had to kind of move around, flex him, extend him, different motions and different loads, and okay, do it standing, do it lying. Okay, go back to your thing. Does that hurt your? Yep, feels the same. Okay, bend. Okay, I can't bend. Eventually, unloaded, so meaning laying down. With he kind of had to push up, and then we had to apply a lot of essentially like a fulcrum or a force to the very low back. And then when he stood, he was like, "Well, yeah, I haven't been able to do that." He was bending farther, less pain in the leg, and then he was trying to figure out. You could see he's trying to figure out, well, why is that? What's going on?
Yeah, like we weren't
I don't
using his
understand
legs at
how.
all.
Yeah, how can I'm not stretching my hamstrings, and I'm not. In this thing on here will just heal on its own. That's just going to be fine on its own.
Yeah.
So both sides. Initially, the left side was better first.
Yes. Yep.
But then by the time we were done, I think both the left and the right leg were both feeling better. And I think he understood. So we wanted to talk about just like the title was. You'll get told that you have these garbage pail terms that just. When someone doesn't know what's wrong with you, they'll call it something like that because it just means pain in the leg. Like, I don't know what's wrong with you, but you have some kind of pain in your leg. Mm-hmm. Sciatica, piriformis. I love trochanteric bursitis. I love that one. Love that one. Because, yeah, it's just, it's right here. Well, where else hurts? Oh, yeah, back here too. And then when I sit, it feels worse. When I walk, it feels better. When I actually use my hip, it feels better. Okay, well, if it bursts... Anyway. Or hamstring strain, even a calf strain we've seen. I strained my calf. It hurts my calf. Well, how'd you hurt your calf? I don't know. Just came on. I don't know.
Yeah,
okay.
You'll probably know if you have a muscle strain.
You'd be jumping or something would happen.
Something happened. You'll know.
Or and it a lot of times, what makes it worse? Oh, when I sit. So when you're not even using your calf, it's worse. Yep. Okay. And it's not a It's not a calf strain. Yeah. But this is the kind of thing that you have to be aware of. So when you have these pains, the knowledge will allow you to say, no, I know something is wrong. I know this is not a good feeling. Something's wrong in my, low back and my buttock, my hip, my leg. I feel something. It comes and goes. It changes based on time, position, movement, activity. Those are ones that can be changed, that can be fixed. We just got to make sure that we get you on the right movement to do so. But many times those are mechanical pains, and they can typically be changed with some specific movements. So that's really what we wanted to. That was a tricky one today. Now, do they always turn out that way? No. Sometimes I can't. We can't get it to change the way we want to, and we have to use some other techniques and send them home with a couple of things to try to provocate or increase something, but we need information, and then talk about the other lady too that you saw at the very last one.
The last one. So she was having a lot of her symptoms were like down the legs, both legs, kind of like to her knees. Sometimes it went a little bit further, but most of the time it didn't cross the knee, so it was like all in the back of the leg
but
here.
Pretty equal, right?
Pretty equal.
This is a little bit more rare. Yeah. Usually one side's worse than another, or you just have one.
Yeah, hers was one was a little bit worse than the other, but really not much. Not my right side really hurts, my left side's okay. But really not a whole lot. Again, not a whole lot of back pain. A little bit when we were moving.
That's a good point. Pause 1 second. You do not have to have back pain for it to be coming from the low back. That's it's okay. You do not have to have back pain for it to be coming from there. Also, the tricky part too, I see Shay on here too. The hip and the low back are common. They can trick each other. They can really throw you for, is it coming from the hip? Is it coming from the back? It's hard to tell sometimes. You really have to differentiate that. But what you can't do is start chasing after two things, because it gets very, very muddies the waters. You have to just fully resolve one and start from the middle, from the spine, and then work your way out, because it's just the easiest way to do it systematically so you don't get lost and make a mistake. So Ray says rarer. Is rarer really a word? I'll trust Ray. He's smarter than me. I'll trust him. He knows
it.
It
Might be a word.
More rarer, yeah. But yeah, that's one important part, is that you do not have to have back pain to have the symptoms originating from the lumbar spine. In fact, or up higher, you don't have to have neck pain for you to have shoulder or arm pain, or like an elbow pain, or a wrist or hand numbness or tingling. That can be coming from up there as well. But we'll back up so that she'd been having these symptoms for
30 years.
30 years.
30 years.
And was almost in like she didn't realize what was going to happen. She's like, I thought you were going to tell me that I couldn't do anything and that I was broken and all that, because she hadn't been able to move much and really, at an emotional level, she was understanding the fact that it wasn't just the pain in the legs. What did she say with the grandkids at the zoo?
She couldn't keep up with her grandkids. Like, she was at the zoo with her family, and she couldn't keep up with them, so they just kind of left her behind. So she wasn't able to do, like, all the family things that she wanted to do, which was very emotional for her.
Yeah,
like,
that made her feel bad, that she was getting left behind by her family.
So that was her biggest thing. Like, right now, like, her biggest goal was to be able to play with her grandkids, which is who wouldn't want that? Make all those memories with, like, your grandkids and stuff. So really not a whole lot of, like, pain in the actual back. But as we started, like, moving around, like, testing stuff out, like, we realized it was actually coming from her back. It wasn't anything to do with, like, her hamstrings.
No, and she kind of knew she had but the dead giveaways are positioning, time. It's obstruction to movement. Rising out of the chair, she has a hard time getting up. But within a few sets, a few reps and a few sets, she's like, oh, I'm standing better. I'm bending better. And she went from a 4 out of 10 pain to a 0 out of 10 pain. And then, you have to... she did very well. But, from 4 to 0 is significant. If you can get pain that's bothering you and keeping you from, catching up and being with your family and holding you that far back, and you get it to 0 and you're moving better, you have to ask yourself, what is the cost? How much is that worth to you to actually feel like I can do things now? Like, is that worth the $50 copay? We think it is. Is a $2,000 MRI worth anything to you other than you're going to feel the same as when you come in go in the machines when you come out, and it doesn't really change. And in fact, you might even feel worse when you come out because you've been laying there for 30, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
The cost of not getting it fixed sometimes is much more expensive than the cost of just getting it fixed and working towards it. And she actually has a very strong why in order to keep her focused and motivated on those grandkids and the family, and not feeling like she's, I think it feels like I'm worthless and I'm left behind, and that's a strong emotional, like, I don't want to feel that way. I'm going to work at this.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like,
I think that's all I had. Anything else that you had for today? But we don't. Today it was pretty good. We don't always get a chance to see
big changes.
Yeah, they don't always work that way. Sometimes they do. Sometimes it's a grind. It just depends on the pathology, on what's causing things. I'll give you an example. Sometimes there's things with certain. Like Tony's on here, he does a lot of total knees. So a total knee, it's a post-surgical thing. You're not going to change that in a day. It's consistency over time. Put in the effort. You have to get from this amount of, from say 45 degrees of bend to 120 over the next, so many months. So break it up and say, I'm going to get after a couple of degrees a day, just a couple a day. Think of it that way in certain situations. I know it can be a little bit slower, and it's not always the most fun or the most exciting that we see sometimes with our changes. With derangements. Derangements change quickly, but there are other conditions and other things that cause pain, mechanical pain, that may be a little bit slower to change. So we'll have to actually come on and talk about those too sometimes.
Yeah, I think that's a good point though. Like, just because we're talking about like these like big changes, like forward pain to 0 pain, like after having pain for 30 years. That doesn't mean like, every single person is going to have like a crazy change like that. Like, we do see it, but there are some people that are just slower. And she she still has stuff that she has to do. Like, it's not like a one-time like cure for her. Like, she's still like, she still has to put in some work and put in some effort. But
she really didn't. She felt a lot better from 4 to 0, but she doesn't walk well.
Right.
Overall health and fitness, and that's what we talked about. Yeah, you can get the pain away, but the fitness part and the strengthening and rebuilding and like That's going to take some time. That's consistency. I can't, no one can change the physiology of getting stronger and getting fitter, and even just mindset for her at times. I mean, because she's 62 years old, felt like she was very old, and that's not true. 62 is not old, and there are people who feel great at 62, 72, and can walk and run miles. It's just getting, through okay, I can do this, and it's going to be a process. Now, the first step was what we could help her with today, where most clinics and places are going to eventually kick you out within a few weeks because you've met the goal, the pain goal. We don't do that. This is just the first step in a three-phase system of repairing that injured tissue, then rebuilding those tissues around it, and then we got to renew to the point where she's on a long-term fitness program. Because health and fitness is not something you just do for a 30-day fix, or you just do for a few weeks. Like, go to the gym one time. Oh, that worked. I'm strong. It does not work that way.
Good now.
Consistency over time, putting in the work. It doesn't have to be like a knockout workout every time, but you still have to put it in. And then what you'll see is you back out over time, and you think to yourself, man, am I different than I was 30 days ago? Yes. Am I different than I was 60 days ago? Yes. Just slowly get that. So that's the slow part, which, that's not as fun and I guess to talk about, or as
it's not as
exciting.
Yeah.
But all right. Well, I wanted to.
It's important.
What else you got, Brooke?
I think that was basically.
I don't even think Brooke knows how big of names that she has on this thing. She's got Anthony Maritato on this thing. She's got Ray. You don't even know how important some of these people are on here. But I appreciate everybody that did watch and listen to me ramble. And Brooke's doing an amazing job. Come see her. If anybody has any questions about lower back, those weird terms, hamstring strain, sciatica, piriformis, any of that kind of stuff. Even another one of my favorite is tennis elbow. Oh, love tennis. I mean, or shoulder pain. 6, 7 out of 10 shoulders or necks anyway. It's a commonly missed thing. Rotator cuff, that's a fun one. Is it really a rotator cuff? Have you always had a rotator cuff tear? If you were athletic at any point in your life, if you threw a ball overhead for sports, you probably have about a 90-some% chance you have a rotator cuff tear and you have no pain. So it's fine. But I could go on for hours. Yeah, I'll go on for hours. It's 6 o'clock. Everybody go get your supper. Have a great week. Let's start the week with some high notes. We did because Brooke was crushing it today. You guys did too. I'm proud of you. Thanks for watching, guys. Oh, Captain came on right at the last second. Captain came right at the last second. See you guys.